listen to Craig Stammen's post-game comments. Plus, we'll bring you today's play of the game. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
Welcome into our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show. Final score at Fenway Park on this Friday. The Red Sox 5 and the Padres 2. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we begin our post-game coverage. A lot to do on this Friday afternoon. We'll go back to Fenway, hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen, recap this game from start to finish. We have all the radio highlights for you, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and much, much more. As always, our post-game coverage brought to you by Jamul Casino Resort. Hey, player, with epic SoCal views, a full bar, and poolside bites. Starlight Pool at Jamul Casino Resort is pool season perfected, and day passes are available. Jamul Casino Resort, the player's place. Well, right off the bat, let's dive into what I think was the main issue in this game. As the Padres dropped to 2-5, the Red Sox snap a 5-game losing streak. They improved to 2-5. We will get into the details of the 6th inning. It was a tie game, 2-2. Michael King gives up a solo home run to Wilson Contreras to give the Red Sox a 3-2 lead. Later in the inning, King gets pulled at 81 pitches. Wandy Peralta comes in. First pitch he throws to Marcelo Meyer. Home run. All of a sudden, 5-2. I get there are aspects of the 6th inning, aspects of the bullpen management that we can talk about and get into all the bits and pieces of this game. But to me, the story of this game from a Padres standpoint, and I would say the story of the first 7 games of the season from a Padres standpoint, begins and ends with the offense. The top 5 in the Padres lineup today: Fernando Tatis Jr., Xander Bogaerts, Jackson Merrill, Manny Machado, and Ramon Laureano went a combined 0 for 19. 0 for 19. It's going to be very, very hard for this team to win games if the top of the lineup, the stars of this lineup, don't produce. And the reality is, you're now 7 games in, and I know there are fans out there that are going to cringe at when I say this, and maybe you're right. It's 7 games. It's very, very early. It's April 3rd. We got a long way to go. But now 6 out of the 7 games, you've scored 3 runs or less if you're the Padres. 0 for 19 from the top 5 of the lineup. And really this game, if you looked at it, around when the Padres scored 2 runs in the 5th inning, it was made up of 2 awfully quiet stretches in this game. The first 4+ innings, Sonny Gray got through 14 batters, allowed just a single. He retired 13 out of 14. Padres then in the 5th inning get the triple on the misplay that Andujar hits. Rafaela misplays it in center. RBI single for Sheets. Later in the inning, Campusano finally has a base hit, which was great for him. We'll talk about that. The double to tie the game. From the RBI double to tie the game in the 5th inning through the end of the game, not only did the Padres not have a hit, they only had one other base runner, the walk to Manny in the 9th inning. It was another span of 13 out of 14 retired to end the game. So you had essentially 2 stretches of 13 out of 14 batters retired, and then sandwiched in between that, you had the little bit of offense. That was it today. And Sonny Gray is a veteran right-hander. He's not Garrett Crochet. He's not one of the elite right-handers, elite starting pitchers in baseball, and we talked about it pregame. This is a guy the Padres have seen a lot of, if you looked at the numbers, and a guy that a lot of Padres have had success against. So you hoped that today would be a day where you could get to the starting pitcher and you could play from ahead. And I think that kind of dovetails the playing from ahead aspect into what the strength of this Padres team really is, which we all know is a bullpen that is elite, a bullpen that has so many good arms, even without Jason Adam right now. But it's really hard to utilize that bullpen the way you want to use it if you're not playing from ahead. And you're not going to play from ahead every night. I get that. But right now, early part of the season, they seem to be constantly playing from behind. And even in the later innings, you can't use the bullpen the way you want. So, look, the early part of the season, the biggest issue for the Padres now sitting at 2-5 is that their offense has not kicked it into gear yet. Yes, they scored 7 runs on Wednesday against the Giants, but even with that, The big guys, the very top of the lineup, the Mannies, the Fernandos, the Jake Cronenworths, Jackson's been a little bit better before today. Now, those guys still weren't really clicking, any of them and all together. And then today, again, the top five in the lineup, Fernando, Xander, Jackson, Manny, Ramon, go 0 for 19. It's just going to be very hard to win games if you're the San Diego Padres when that top of the lineup has an 0 for. It just is. So it continues to be the story of the very early part of the season, which is the Padres are not scoring very much. Again, 3 runs or less, and now 6 out of their 7 games. It's just going to be very difficult to win ball games if you're not getting more offensive output than that. And it brings me back to something that I think we said a lot last year when the Padres didn't have a lot of slug. They still won 90 games, but they had offensive issues last year, certainly at times. We said it over and over. It means that everything else has to be perfect. When you don't score a lot of runs, it means every other part of your game, it feels like the margin for error is just really, really, really narrow. And today, it felt like that to me in the 6th inning. When you're talking about King, he can't make a mistake to Wilson Contreras. Then you have Wandy Peralta come in. Yeah, you can agree, disagree. Should it have been Peralta? I get that. But, you can't afford, if you're Craig Stammen or if you're Wandy, to make a mistake and give up a home run because you're just not scoring enough to make up for it. If you're scoring 6-7 runs today, guess what? You can give up 5. But when you're not scoring very many runs, it just means the margin for error is really, really razor thin in every other part of the game. So, look, I'm not writing off the Padres offense after 7 games. There's plenty of talent in this lineup to get going. But right now, they're having trouble scoring runs. They've essentially had 1 game out of 7 so far where this offense has really put up a big crooked number, and the rest of it has been extremely quiet. And if you're looking for reasons as to why they're 2-5, to me, the offense is top of the list right now. I understand there have been some other issues game by game, but the offense is top of the list. And again, when you look at an 0 for 19 from the top 5 of the lineup, just the reality is for any team, not just the Padres, for any team, going to be very difficult to win a ball game when the stars in the lineup are not producing, and that has been kind of the situation in the early part of the season, including today at Fenway Park. We'll see if the Padres can bounce back tomorrow, if they can find a way to still win this series tomorrow and Sunday. When we come back, all the radio highlights for you. We'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen coming up as well. Again, the final at Fenway Park today, Red Sox 5 and the Padres 2. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues after this. Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we continue to wrap this one up. Padres fall today 5-2 at Fenway Park in Boston in this series opener. First road game the Padres have played this season. Padres dropped to 2-5. The Red Sox, meanwhile, snap a 5-game losing skid. They return home today, and they improve to a record of 2-5. We'll go back to Fenway, hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen coming up in a little bit, so stay tuned for that. But first, let's recap this one from start to finish.
Which moments determine the outcome of today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game highlights on the Padres Radio Network.
Our starting pitching matchup today, Sonny Gray for the Red Sox, Michael King on the mound for the Padres. Both guys were pretty sharp early on. Gray pitched 3 scoreless innings to begin his day. The Padres stranded a runner in scoring position in the top of the third. We still had a scoreless game going bottom 3. Marcelo Meyer hit a leadoff double off the green monster with 1 out, and Meyer still on second. It was Ceddanne Rafaela.
Meyer leads at second. Pitch is swung on, lined into shallow left center field. Merrill coming in, has to play it on a hop. Meyer racing around third. Throw comes in up the line. It's an RBI base hit for Ceddanne Rafaela, and the Red Sox lead 1-0.
Fast forward to the bottom half of the fourth inning. Jarren Duran hit a leadoff double. King bounced back to strike out the next 2 batters. Caleb Durbin, who to that point was 0 for 19 on the season, was next.
2 balls, no strikes. The pitch. Durbin smacks it up the middle into center. A base hit. Duran rounding third. Merrill's throw is on the way up the third base line. And Caleb Durbin's first hit as a Red Sox is an RBI single. It's 2-0 here in the fourth.
So the Padres were down 2-0 going to the top of the 5th inning. They then got a gift when Miguel Andujar lined a ball into center. The Red Sox, Ceddanne Rafaela, lost it in the sun. It rolled to the center field fence. Andujar had a 1-out triple on a ball that really should have been caught. So, question was, could the Padres take advantage? Gavin Sheets dug in.
Ripped on a line into right field and a base hit for Sheets. He's 2 for 2, and Duhar will come in to score. And the Padres are on the board. It's now 2-1.
Jake Cronenworth flew out for the second out of the inning, but the Padres weren't done. Luis Campusano was next.
3-2 to Campusano, and that's hard hit in the air, deep to left center field. Rafaela's tracking it back. It'll be off the monster. Sheets is rounding third. He's going to score. The throw to second, not in time. An RBI double for Campusano, and a 2-2 game here in the 5th.
It was Luis Campusano's first major league hit since August 31st, 2024. It snapped an 0 for 35 in the major leagues for Campy. Good for Campusano. Padres tied the game at 2. King pitched a scoreless bottom of the 5th. Gray did the same in the top of the 6th inning. We still had a 2-2 game going to the bottom half of the 6th inning. Michael King still working with 1 out. It was Wilson Contreras.
As this one hit in the air deep to left center for Wilson Contreras. A no-doubter over the monster in left center. His first of the year. And the Red Sox go back ahead 3-2.
Wilyer Abreu then singled with 2 outs and Abreu still on base. Craig Stammen went to lefty Wandy Peralta to face the left-handed hitting Marcelo Meyer.
Hits this one in the air deep to right field. Fernando is back. He is at the wall. Leaps up. He can't make the catch. Tumbled most of the way over the right field wall. It's a home run for Meyer and 2 more for the Red Sox. They lead it 5-2.
So a 3-run bottom half of the 6th inning for the Red Sox. A home run by Contreras, the 2-run shot by Meyer. Padres trailed 5-2 after 6. From that point, the Red Sox bullpen did a great job. Greg Weissert pitched the scoreless 7th inning. Justin Slayton pitched the 1-2-3 8th inning. And then Aroldis Chapman gave up a 2-out walk to Manny Machado, but that was it. A scoreless 9th inning for Chapman, his second save of the season. And that was that here today. Like I said, opening segment, Padres offense did not do much outside the 2 runs in the 5th inning. Final score in this series opener, the Red Sox 5 and the Padres 2. Final totals today for the Red Sox, 5 runs on 9 hits, no errors. For the Padres, 2 runs, 4 hits, and 1 error. Sonny Gray, the winner today. He picks up his first win of the year. here. Michael King, the losing pitcher, he drops to 0-1 in the save for Aroldis Chapman. As I said, his second of the season. Padres dropped to 2-5. Red Sox improved to 2-5 as the Padres drop this series opener. When we return, we'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. Again, the final today, Red Sox 5, Padres 2. Our postgame coverage continues after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our postgame coverage continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. We'll go back to Fenway Park in just a moment. Hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen as the Padres fall 5-2 to the Red Sox on this Friday on opening day at Fenway Park. Again, the Padres trail 2-0 in this game. Heading into the top of the fifth inning. They did get a couple of runs in the fifth to tie it at 2, but then the Red Sox getting a solo home run from Wilson Contreras against Michael King in the bottom of the sixth inning. That gave him a 3-2 lead. A few batters later, Wandy Peralta came in to face the left-handed hitting Marcelo Meyer, who hit a 2-run home run against Peralta, made it 5-2. That was about the story in this one as the Red Sox go on to win by that final score. Michael King going 5 2/3 innings. He was charged with 4 earned runs in this game, 7 hits, struck out 5. He was removed at 81 pitches. But as I said in the opening segment, and I'm sure Craig Stammen, when we hear from him in a moment, will get asked about the sixth inning and potentially pulling King at 81 pitches and going to Peralta. He'll get asked all those things, I'm sure. But as I said, opening segment, to me, this game and the story of the early part of the season is about the offense. Again, top 5 in the Padres lineup today. Tatis, Bogarts, Merrill, Machado, Laureano went a combined 0 for 19. They have now scored, the Padres, 3 runs or less in 6 out of the 7 games to begin the year. So if you're looking for a reason as to why they're 2-5, to me, that is the reason they are where they are, albeit early, very early here on April 3rd. But that's the reason. Yes, game by game, there have been other things that have gone not so well, for sure. But guess what covers up some things not going so well in the course of a game? Scoring runs and providing some offense. And unfortunately, when you look at the start for Fernando and Xander and Manny, it has not been great to start the year. So plenty of time to turn that around, certainly, but the offense continues to struggle. And unfortunately, a different setting on the road after the off day yesterday did not seem to solve some of the Padres' offensive woes. I do want to point out one good thing, and that is, and no doubt about it, Luis Campusano having the moment he did today with the RBI double to tie the game in the fifth inning. Number one, he didn't miss a home run by much. That's the kind of swing we saw at AAA last year, and it snapped an 0 for 35 for Luis Campusano going back to August of 2024. That was his first major league hit since August 31st, 2024. So that's a big deal for Campy, hopefully a confidence builder. The Padres, and we've said this for weeks now, they wanted to give him a runway to get at bats, to give him a runway to have success, to hit. And today, hopefully, is the start of that for Luis Campusano. So that was really nice to see. If you're looking for a silver lining from this game, I think that is it right there. Hopefully, it's a sign of things to come for Luis Campusano, who tied the game with that RBI double in the fifth inning. With all that in mind, let's go back to Boston, back to Fenway Park, and hear from Craig Stammen.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Craig, what did you think of Michael? And he was cruising, and then did you feel like he kind of was tiring in the sixth?
Yeah, he pitched pretty good today. Felt like the end of the fifth, couple hard hit balls, sixth inning, hard hit balls. Then we felt like we had a matchup that was better in our favor with Wandy against him. Ended up not being that, which is a case in baseball, but overall pitched really well.
Do you think Fernando had that one?
I actually thought he did catch it for a second, but we were pretty far away. I don't know I didn't look at the replay, so I don't know how close or how far it was.
We talked a little bit before the game about the offense and kind of some of the hard hit balls. What do you make of have you seen any pressing out of this group to kind of get to where I think they know or feel like they should be at this point?
Yeah, I'm sure that's natural for every hitter to, hit line drives and then not get a hit, and then look at your average on the scoreboard and then want to press a little bit and like, I got to make sure I get a hit here. But, we got to keep preaching to them that, they're swinging well, they're hitting the ball hard, and that eventually they're going to fall.
What do you think of Gray, another guy who made it into the sixth against you guys?
Yeah.
In the sixth.
Yeah, he pitched good. He's a veteran pitcher. It's not like he hadn't done that before. He got us today. I thought we got to him a little bit there in the fifth. Took advantage of the sun ball. Gavin had a nice at bat, driving him in. And then Campy had a great at bat. It's good to see Campy make a really good swing there, hit one hard and off the wall. So felt like we had him close, and then we just let him get through the sixth there.
You mentioned it. I mean, you knew it would come. He was going to get a hit at some point. But how nice was that to see for him and for you guys, for Campy?
Yeah, it's great. One of those guys to talk about like pressing maybe a little bit. He hadn't got a hit since 2024, I think. So it was good to see what we know he can do. And, hit a ball like that against any pitcher. He did a great job.
Your view on the Cronenworth double play?
Yeah, that was amazing. What a play. That inning was getting a little to the point where, they hit the ball, they were on base, hit the ball hard again, and we made a great play and got out of it. And you're thinking that ball gets through, it's first and second or first and third and one out. So, just at the time, maybe a game-saving play. But Jake's been doing that a lot this year. It's pretty fun to see him at second base doing that.
Go back to the offense a little bit. Aside from like kind of sticking with the approach and maybe not getting outside yourself, what are some of the other things that you think like this group can do to get to the level that they could or should be at?
Yeah, I think one is just trust themselves, trust what they've done in the past, and who they are as people and who they are as hitters, and I got complete confidence that they're going to be just fine.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen following this 5-2 loss to the Red Sox in Boston. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios as we continue to wrap this up on our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show. I'm happy the double play turned by Cronenworth got brought up. That was as fine a play you're going to see by a second baseman. I mean, really as fine a defensive play, and certainly a double play turned by himself that you're going to see from a second baseman. It did help Michael King get out of that bottom half of the fifth inning, keep the game tied at 2 at that point, and help Michael King through a scoreless fifth inning. So I did want to mention that because I did mention that the Campusano double was a silver lining. That play by Cronenworth, and quite frankly, the defense he's played at second early this season, that's been, I think, a nice part of Cronenworth's game. Notwithstanding kind of the slow start offensively, certainly he's not alone in that department right now. And you heard Craig Stammen talk there at the end about the offense. And, I think at this point, 7 games in, if you're Craig Stammen, you cannot, I think, about the offense, show any panic. Like, who you have in the lineup. The back of the baseball card. I understand that the slug issues are kind of eerily similar to last year. I understand that. And I think I said this on Ben and Woods yesterday. I think it's fair for a Padres fan to look at the slug issues and the lack thereof and say, is this going to be a big issue again as far as the lack of slug? I just don't think you can really get there 7 games in. 2 things can be true at once. It's been a very slow offensive start. They're not scoring enough to win a whole lot of games right now. They're just not. 3 runs or less, 6 out of 7 games. It's going to be very hard to win games if you don't score more than that. And I said it earlier, it requires every other element of your game to be perfect. I mean, you're essentially going to ask your pitching staff to just not give up runs all year. It's not the recipe for long-term success. In all likelihood, in reality, this offense will get it going. I'm fairly confident in saying that Manny is not going to end up hitting 200 on the year. Tatis is not going to hit 200 on the year. Bogarts is not going to hit 143. Merrill's not going to hit 185. Okay, they're not going to hit that. But early on, it's been a struggle for the very top of the lineup. It was 0 for 19 for the top 5 guys in the lineup today. In the first 7 games, it has been a struggle for this offense to get it going and really kick it into a higher gear. So, look, I think for Craig Stammen, what else is he supposed to say right now as a first-year manager with this level of talent and these kinds of guys in his lineup? He's got to, rely on it's 7 games in an 162-game marathon and have some faith that they're going to turn it around and they're going to get it going. I don't think there is really anything else, especially regarding the offense right now, that Craig Stammen can really say or believe. You're not going to make wholesale changes. You're not going to be sitting guys. You're not going to be panicking on your approach. Not 7 games in. I understand it's not a great start at 2-5, but it's probably how you have to view it right now, which is we've got a lot of talent in this lineup, guys that have put up big years over and over and over, and they're going to be okay. We'll see if that ultimately is true at the end of the year. Thank goodness it's only April 3rd. When we come back, we'll continue to break this one down. If you want to get a phone call in, phone number to call, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. The phone number, again, the final today at Fenway, Red Sox 5 and the Padres 2 on the Padres Radio Network. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score today, Red Sox 5 and the Padres 2. Phone number if you want to get involved, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. The phone number if you want to chime in about today's Padres loss 5-2. They fall to the Red Sox in this series opener. Padres will continue this 3-game series tomorrow. We'll talk more about that matchup and Sunday's matchup coming up a little bit later. First, let's tell you about the heart of the order.
Let's take the pulse of the Padres and check in on the heart of the order. Presented by Palomar Health, the official healthcare provider of 97.3 The Fan. Palomar Health, leading with heart for every patient. Palomar Health is reimagining healthcare.
Well, if you listen to the first few segments of the postgame, you know this is not going to be pretty. Heart of the order, 3, 4, 5 spots. Merrill, Machado, Laureano, a combined 0 for 11. And the top two guys, Tatis and Bogarts, they were 0 for 8. So it was a combined 0 for 19 for the top 5 of the lineup today, and an 0 for the heart of the order. Manny did get on with the walk in the 9th inning, but that was the lone time anybody in the top 5 of the lineup was on base today. So a lot left to be desired by the heart of the order and the top of the Padres lineup today. There was a bright spot out of the Padres bullpen. Let's tell you about it.
Which pitcher entered the game and slammed the door shut? This is today's relief pitcher of the game. Brought to you by San Diego criminal defense attorney David P. Shapiro. We help good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime. Learn more at davidpshapirolaw.com.
Well, I can't be all doom and gloom for an hour. So here's a little positive for you. Ron Marinaccio did a nice job today. 8th inning, 1-2-3 frame. He retired Contreras, Abreu, and Durbin, all who had big impacts on this game. Kept it a 3-run affair. Gave the Padres a fighting chance against Aroldis Chapman. So for that reason, 1-2-3 8th inning, we'll hand our relief pitcher of the game today to Ron Marinaccio, the right-hander. Phone number to call, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's go to the phones on this Friday afternoon. And oh, by the way, today's edition of Gwynn and Chris Ello, Matt Scraby. I would think Tony Gwynn Jr., chance he's going to join a little bit later as well. They will come your way in just a little bit. So plenty more sports talk here on 97.3 The Fan. Padres talk here on 97.3 The Fan coming up when I'm done. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Hector calling in. Hector, you're on our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show. Go ahead.
Thanks for taking my call. Long time no here. But yeah, I'll be quick because I know Padres fans are going to be wanting to vent after this one. It's just a frustration, man. I understand, as a rookie coach and you're in a nearly impossible position with this offense. But I just want to call out a lot of the Padres fans out there already calling for Craig Stammen to be fired. You don't want to be like the Oakland Raiders of Major League Baseball. You got to give this guy a chance. If it's 7 games in, maybe 30, 40 games, and after that, you're already playing for a wild card. I just want to call that out because it's ridiculous for people to be calling for this guy to get fired already, dude.
Yeah, you know what, Hector? I think it's really well said. I think you're spot on. I think when you talk about Craig Stammen, okay, has he done everything perfectly 7 games in? I guess not. I mean, look, bullpen-wise, bullpen management, you could probably pick apart decision-making from a bullpen standpoint of, every manager in baseball through the first week of the season. Look, you look at the 6th inning today, you thought he should have let King in longer. Okay, I can understand that argument. You don't want Wandy in there. You want Adrian Morejon in there. You want Kyle Hart in there, another lefty to face the left-handed hitting Meyer. Okay, I'll listen to that argument. My point is, like today in particular in the 6th inning is, Adrian Morejon's not going to pitch 150 games, okay? Sometimes when you're trailing, you got to trust another lefty to go get a guy out with 2 outs in the inning. And that's what he was trying to get Peralta to do. And I said it earlier, it's just offense-wise, I don't think there's anything else Craig Stammen can say right now about his offense other than to say he's got a lot of talent. These guys are going to be fine. It's 7 games in. And guess what? There's a lot of truth in that. A lot of truth in that. But I'm with you, Hector. I mean, 7 games in, the managerial book is yet to be written on Craig Stammen for 2026 and beyond. It is. Okay? I get it. 2-5 is not the way you want to start the year, but I would say the biggest reason, and I'm pretty confident in saying this, the biggest reason they're 2-5 is because of the offense. And if you want to look at anything where you actually probably can't point at Craig Stammen and say you could have fixed this over the course of the first 7 games, you could have done something differently, it's probably the guys at the top of the lineup and the star hitters doing what they got to do, and that's hit, and that's produce runs. So I don't think Mike Schilt was gonna, was gonna wave a magic wand and make that happen. If it was Mike in the chair right now, if it was Bob Melvin in the chair right now, if it was Jace Tingler in the chair right now, those guys got a hit, and I don't put that on the manager. I don't, and it's. In the big picture, 7 games in. I get it. It's 2-5. It does not look great. And I've said this on the post-game show if you've listened to me the last handful of years. To me, there is nothing as a fan that makes you feel worse or is harder to watch than a team that is struggling to hit. Okay, there's a lot of ways to lose baseball games. There are. But when your team is struggling to score, it's like excruciating. It is. To me, it's worse than pitching struggling. It's worse than a shaky bullpen because it's just drip, drip, drip. You can't find a way to open the faucet all the way, and it just won't happen. I do think the Padres offense is going to wake up. I think the Padres offense is going to be okay. But are they giving you a little bit of that drip, drip, drip the first week of the season? Yeah. And I get it out there if you're a Padres fan and you're saying, hey, we got to go here. We got to get going. Take a breath. I don't put that part on Craig Stammen, and it's 7 games in. And let's see, before we make any grand proclamations, let's see where they are in a month, in 2 months, in 3 months, and so on. And we go on from there. When we come back, out-of-town scoreboard and more. Again, the final today, Red Sox 5, Padres 2 on the Padres Radio Network. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. As we wrap this one up, final score, Red Sox 5 and the Padres 2. Today's edition of Gwynn and Chris is coming your way towards the top of the hour, probably a little bit before the top of the hour, and we'll continue to keep you company until then. Phone number 833-288-0973 if you want to chime in about today's Padres loss 5-2 at Fenway Park in Boston. Now we'll go back to the phones here in a moment. Hey, player, the rooftop pool's open. Day passes are available, and the spa is calling your name. Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. All right, back to the phones we go. Get a little bit more of your post-game reaction. Let's go to Los Angeles. It's excuse me. Sorry, Blake. It's Blake calling in from LA. Hi, Blake.
Hey, Sam. Just really quick, I heard you comment about the offense and the inconsistency. I wanted to get your thoughts on a different batting lineup each game, and if that's affecting the players not knowing necessarily where they're going to be batting in the lineup each day, and that could be impactful as a past player. I know that was always kind of in my head. So thoughts on that? Thanks.
Yeah, Blake, that's a good question, and appreciate the phone call. The one thing I can tell you is that, and I've talked about this for a week now, Craig is clearly going to be much more malleable with the lineup than Mike Schill was. I mean, Mike, it was set from almost day one, and it was going to stay. Just for example, Fernando lead off, Luis Arraez second, and that's the way it was going to be. It has changed a bit over the course of the first week, depending on lefty, righty. They had Cronenworth batting leadoff against the righties, and then the other day on Wednesday, they had a more productive day with the offense, with Fernando leading off and Bogarts batting second and Laureano up to fifth and dropping Cronenworth down towards the bottom of the lineup. Look, I think there's always going to be a little reasoning to guys like showing up at the ballpark, knowing where they're going to hit. And I'm sure if the offense gets going, let's say today had been a more productive day for the offense, I'm kind of, I'm relatively confident that you would have seen a very similar lineup tomorrow, and they're going to roll out there what's working. But, there could be a little truth in that. But, at this point in the season, I don't mind them shaking it up. I don't mind them trying different things and trying to jumpstart this offense a little bit. So, I don't know, Blake. It's a tough question. I'm not in the lineup every day. I don't know how much it really matters or it doesn't. I know there are guys who like knowing where they're hitting, who do like hitting in certain spots over others. Maybe some consistency would be good ultimately as you get into the year, but early on here, especially as they're struggling offensively, I don't mind them trying to shake it up and trying to figure out something that works and can ignite him. So I don't mind it. Let's go to Frank in Rancho Bernardo. Hi, Frank. You're on the Padres Radio Network. Go ahead.
Hi, how you doing?
Doing well.
I called one of the talk shows earlier this year. My biggest problem is I don't think that the Padres did a thing to improve their offense from last year in the off season. They were one of the lowest scoring run teams in the National League last year, and they did nothing but pick people up off the bone pile in the off season. And I think their starting pitching, certainly not King, but their starting pitching is very subject to question, and their hitting just hasn't been good for the last year. And it doesn't surprise me at all that they're starting off slowly because they just haven't improved themselves whatsoever.
Frank, appreciate the phone call. Look, I think what you say is fair in this sense. What you say is fair in this sense is that they brought offensively the same team back. Now, you can look at that two ways. I think there's actually a few different ways you can look at it. Number one, offensively, with the contracts they have and some of the guys they have, there's not a whole lot of big changes to be made, okay, as far as the pillars of your offense. There just aren't. At the same time, I think when you came to the year, Frank, you looked at the offense and you said, well, this lineup, as long as everybody does what they should do, should be fine. they should score runs. If Toddy has the year he's supposed to have, Xander has a good year, Merrill has the year you want him to have, Manny, Laureano, list goes on and on. Sheets has a similar type year. Cronenworth has, a good year by his standards. Again, list goes on and on. You get what I'm saying? To me, out of every, the lineup and them scoring runs wasn't particularly high on my worry list. Now, Frank, to your point, you could have also looked at that another way and said, well, last year they weren't a great offensive team. They didn't slug very much. Are you confident that they're just going to flip a switch? I think it was probably a fairly good bet to think that it would just be different this year based on the guys in the lineup. Frank, I think it's too early for us to make a determination on whether they're going to be a similar offensive team or not. And that's going to be the question. Is this a week or is this indicative of a larger offensive issue? But as far as what they did in the offseason, I didn't really mind a lot of it. I mean, what were you changing exactly aside from some parts on the outer edges, right? Tatis, Merrill, Laureano were going to be your outfield. Manny was playing third. Xander was playing short. Second base, first base, Cronenworth was going to be in one of those. Now, you want to tell me you would have liked to see them go get a big bopper to go play first base DH? Okay. I don't, they clearly were not in a position spending wise where they were going to do that. They weren't going to go get a Pete Alonso. You know who would have been amazing for them based on their lack of slug? Going to get Pete Alonso. That wasn't going to happen. Okay. And it became pretty clear early that wasn't going to happen. That was just not going to be the situation this offseason. So what did AJ Preller do? He built a team within whatever, restrictions he has, spending wise. If you want to look at it and say, well, they never really went and got the big bat. Yeah, that's fair. But I don't think that was reality that was going to happen. So I think they kind of did what they could do, which was, go get some pieces. And Andujar, yeah, they picked up Castellanos at spring training, and you hope that those guys are productive enough to supplement around your big guys. And again, I come back to this, Frank, like you look at the top of the lineup and their stars, those guys got to hit and they got to produce runs and they got to hit for power. It just is what it is. I mean, the Padres at the end of the day are going to, a big part of where they're going to go is as far as Fernando and Manny and Merrill and Bogarts and Laureano, their big bats take them. And that's just reality. So I don't look at it as like the off-season issue. The reality is this is a team where you're star heavy and those stars gotta pull their weight. So first week in hasn't really been that way. Does that mean it's going to be like that for 162? No, it's a long way to go. We'll see. All right, one more call here. Let's go to John in Carlsbad. Hi, John. Welcome in.
How you doing?
Good.
So I went to opening day, and it was fun, and all the pageantry of opening days are always fun. But there was, as far as the game goes, there was very little energy other than what Jackson Merrill seems to bring energy-wise. And, I'm going to point to the WBC. I don't like it, and I'm going to tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
These players are employed by the Padres. They're paid by the Padres. Now, I know the players want to go play for their country and represent their country, and that's all good and well. But I think what we're experiencing right now, and we're seeing it in the lineup, is a hangover from the WBC, plain and simple. And that's what we're seeing in the lack of production in the offense. I mean, Manny, he has 2 drop balls now on the transition, just to throw the ball to first place in 1 air, a ball that got by him. He seems, and I love Manny. He's arguably one of the best third basemen in the game. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times, I think because the game comes so easy to him, he seems what appears to be he's very lackadaisical out there. And there just doesn't seem to be an intense focus right now, or an intense energy. And as far as the pitching goes, we're missing Musgrove and Darvish.
Mm-hmm. John, appreciate the phone call. On the pitching, yeah, getting Joe back and healthy and effective will go a long way, for sure. And hopefully that happens here soon. As far as the WBC, look, the only thing that I would say, would work for your argument would be to go back and point to 23, because again, it's so early that I almost hesitate to even do this. But if you do want to make a comparison between the start to this year and 2023, different teams, different elements to the team. Juan Soto was here in 2023. There's a lot of differences. But they got off to a very slow start in 2023. They never really got it going, kind of amazingly, based on the talent on the team. And this year, they're off to a slow start. Now, time's going to tell, is it a 2-5 start, or is it going to be a slow start the last months? I don't know the answer to that yet. I don't know how much the slow start has to do with the WBC or not. You talked about opening day. Now, let's remember, Nick Pivetta went out there and he gave up, what was it? 4 runs in the first inning. They were down 6-0 after 3 innings. I mean, John, take any baseball team and have them down 6-0 after 3 innings and tell me how much energy it looks like they have. So I don't know how much it's the WBC. If you want to take that approach on it, look, you can point at 23 and say, that was another year where the WBC happened and guys came back and it took a while to get going. It really never got going until the very end. But it was a very slow start. You could be onto something, but I certainly can't confirm it. I can't say that's why they're off to a slow start for sure, why Fernando and Manny are off to slow starts. Let me remind you, in the WBC, those guys were not facing, for the most part, the Tarek Skubals and Framber Valdez's of the world, okay, and the Logan Webbs of the world, which is 3 out of the 7 starting pitchers they've faced so far, okay? They were the early rounds of the WBC. They were not facing that type of talent. So I don't know. It's too early for me to put anything on the WBC. For now, it's a slow start, and we'll see ultimately over the course of the next weeks and months what the reality is and isn't with this ball club and what this 2-5 start really means. We're going to find out. Let's take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
All right, we have a few finals already today. A lot of teams opening up at home today. They're home openers like we had at Fenway. White Sox did that against the Blue Jays. They won it in 10, 5-4 in Chicago today. White Sox won it in the bottom half of the 10th inning on a first name, Tristan Peters. RBI hit. Sorry, you look at the White Sox lineup. I see Peters. You don't know every first name in their lineup right now when you look at it off the top of your head. I apologize. Tristan Peters hit the walk-off single in the 10th inning for the White Sox. Yankees beat the Marlins 8-2 at Yankee Stadium. Aaron Judge went deep early in that one to put the Yankees on top, and Aaron Judge hitting his 3rd home run of the season. Tigers beat the Cardinals 4-0 in Detroit. Dodgers beat up on the Nationals in their home opener 13-6 in D.C. Games going on right now. The Reds lead the Rangers 3-2 in Arlington in the 7th inning. Cubs and the Guardians are tied at 1 in the 6th inning in Cleveland. Phillies 10, Rockies 1 in the home opener in Denver in the 6th inning. Pirates 4, Orioles 2 in Pittsburgh in the 5th inning. One of the headlines in baseball today, the number 1 prospect in the game, Connor Griffin, making his major league debut in the home opener in Pittsburgh. And Griffin so far today has a base hit, has a walk, has a run scored. So he's off to a nice start to his major league career. From what I was seeing, what I was reading, sounds like he's played some good defense as well. Rays beat the Twins, or I should say beating the Twins 2-0 in Minnesota in the 3rd. Games yet to begin. Coming up later, Brewers and the Royals in Kansas City at 4:40. Mariners and the Angels at 6:38 in Anaheim. Braves and the Diamondbacks in Arizona at 6:40. Astros and the A's at 6:40 in Sacramento. And finally, later on this evening, Mets and the Giants in San Francisco at 7:15. It's a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Friday. Final score at Fenway today. Red Sox 5, Padres 2. Let's hear today's play of the game.
One bounce, one hit, One pitch can be the difference between victory and defeat. What was the most important play in today's game? This is today's Play of the Game. Presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating and Air, Restoration and Flood. We know how.
As this one hit in the air deep to left center for Wilson Contreras. A no-doubter over the monster in left center. His first of the year. And the Red Sox go back ahead 3-2.
That is today's play of the game, unfortunately. The home run by Wilson Contreras off Michael King in the 6th inning gave the Red Sox a 3-2 lead. Red Sox would not look back. Few batters later, it was Wandy Peralta against the left-handed hitting Marcelo Meyer. He hit a 2-run home run, gave the Red Sox a 5-2 lead, and the Sox go on to win by that final score at opening day at Fenway Park. Taking a look ahead to tomorrow, it'll be the middle game of this 3-game series between the Padres and Red Sox. Right-hander Randy Vasquez on the mound for the Padres tomorrow. Left-hander Connolly Early on the mound for the Red Sox. First pitch tomorrow, 1:10 p.m. here in San Diego. Our pregame coverage tomorrow will begin at 12:10, and certainly hope you can join us then. Taking a look at the final totals today for game 1 of this 3-game set for the Red Sox. 5 runs, 9 hits, no errors. They left on 4. For the Padres, 2 runs, 4 hits, 1 error. They left on 3. Winning pitcher today, Sonny Gray, who improves to 1-0. Losing pitcher, Michael King, who drops to 0-1. And the save goes to Aroldis Chapman, his 2nd of the season. Time of game, a quick one today, 2 hours and 19 minutes. And the crowd at Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts, 36,233, a sold-out crowd at Fenway Park. Once again, first pitch tomorrow, 1:10 p.m. Pregame coverage begins at 12:10. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Kyle Ovenshire, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long from inside our San Diego studios. Again, the final score today, the Boston Red Sox 5 and the San Diego Padres 2. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Padres Radio Network. Today's edition of Gwynn and Chris coming up next.